I got a huge amount of romance novels the other day. Now, most of these books I bought yesterday at various library sales. Um, and you can see them there. Now, some of them, though, like some of these ones over here, um, I bought uh, about a week or two ago at I think it was also at another library sale. And all these love inspired suspense books here, these purple spined ones, those ones I got yesterday at a library that has a fill a bag for $1 sale. Now, I'm not going to keep all those books. And there are actually, most of them I think are recent. You can see on there the date says July 2022, and then there's August 2022, even a September 2022. So they're brand new books, but you can see they've been read. So apparently someone donated them to the library, and the library just puts them in the used book sale where you can get paperbacks for either 25 cents each, or you fill a bag, just a little shopping bag, for $1, and just as many books as you can fill in there. And as you can see, I can fill a lot of books into a shopping bag. And it was a similar story with a lot of these other books here too. They was at another library and just filled a bag for $1. And some of them even have some libraries have free book boxes. It's like take one, leave one, take one, or whatever. You can take as many as you want. They basically are just trying to get rid of these books. Anyways, we'll take a quick look at all these books. Now, the first book we're looking at here is probably one of the older ones of the slot. This is Silver Desires by Steph Ann Holm from Leisure Books. Or actually, it's I believe it's the Leisure Books imprint Centurion. See how it says Other Leisure Books by Steph Ann Holm. And it says copyright 1987 by Steph Ann Holm, but it's a Centurion book, published by special arrangement with Dorchester Publishing, which was the parent company of Leisure Books. And this is a historical. It says it starts in 1875. And there's the back cover. You can just pause the video if you want to read all the things. This is a 400-page book. Anyways, I don't think Centurion lasted that long. My understanding was they were on 1989, 1990, something like that. But this one says copyright 87, so either this was a later issue of a Leisure book, or that's when it came out. Here's another book with a publishing history. This is The Bargain by Mary Jo Putney, published by Zebra Books. And Mary Jo Putney was a longtime historical writer, and still is. And I'll see this one says copyright 1988, 1990 by Mary Jo Putney. And then there's the publishing history in here. It says first Zebra Books mass market paperback printing, April 2011, which is when this book came out. Then it says first published in October 1999 by Signet. So it was probably like maybe a Signet Regency or something like that. But then it says originally published in a somewhat different version in a Signet edition entitled The Would-Be Widow. So I'm wondering if The Would-Be Widow is actually the 1988 book. So it looks like this book has gone through some changes, so it was originally started as a here's an author's note. I don't know if she's going to talk about the publication history. It doesn't look like it. But anyway, so it started out in 1988, was republished in 1999, and this edition, what did it say, 2011? Yeah, 2011. So it's gone through some changes. Here we have 3 books by Jane Feather, another long time, since the 1980s, historical romance writer. These are all historical romances, although this one can kind of look like a contemporary, but it's not. And I think both of these two take place in the 1600s, and this one takes place in the 1700s. Let's take a look. There's a nice little spine image. Oddly enough, that painting doesn't appear in the cover itself. So maybe that was from an original printing. You know, like if this is a later printing, sometimes they have a remnant of the original cover on there. So this looks like it's been through several printings. This is the 13th. Copyright 1998. June 1998 book. There's the preface. And then the book proper. And then a prologue, 1617. You know, you have to go all the way over here. Let's see. To get to chapter 1. So you have to read all that before you get to chapter 1. The Least Likely Bride by Jane Feather. There's the back cover message from Jane Feather. It says, please be sure to read The Hostage Bride. And so that's the Hostage Bride that it's referring to. And this is The Least Likely Bride. This is from the year 2000. Again, it's a later printing. It shows there it's a 5th. Another preface, probably the same preface. Another prologue, 1648. And then there's chapter 1. All right, and then finally this Jane Feather, Rush to the Altar. First time in print, it says. This one's published by Pocket Books, because those other ones were published by Bantam. (2010) is when this was published. And this one's in the 1700s. 1761 is the prologue. And I think some people don't like prologues, but I tend not to. I like to jump right into the action. But, let's see if there's any interesting ads on the back here. An epilogue. Some ads. Pocket Books, showing their dedication to the romance genre, and then a biographical thing about Jane Feather. All right, here are some more books. Now, in a last night, I actually filmed an entire video that lasted like over 15 minutes, showing me removing the stickers from a lot of these books, because a lot of the next several books here had 50-cent stickers. Like somebody had put a white sticker that said 50 cents and they wrote 50 cents on the sticker. But then also they had the manufacturer's sticker underneath a lot of them. So all these books had stickers on them, and I filmed a video showing how I remove stickers. And later in this video, a little bit later, I'll jump ahead and show a snippet of one of those videos. The reason I'm not showing the whole 15-minute thing is because for some reason I forgot to have audio on it. It didn't have for some reason the audio button was turned off. So it was just silent video of me removing stickers from books, and it was really boring. And, you know, whereas in the video I was actually talking about what I was doing. So, you know, and giving advice of how to tear off stickers from the front covers of books without destroying the book. You know, because as you can see, these look, you know, nice. You would never know there was this big honking sticker, you know, sometimes 2 stickers right on the thing. And this one was a particular problem. I had to spend maybe about 5 to 10 minutes just on this one alone. I actually turned off the video for this one so I could focus on removing the sticker. And one of the things I pointed out in the video was you have to be careful when going like that to remove the glue, not to bend or, you know, mangle the little corners here. But usually I would just take one corner of the sticker and just slowly peel, use my thumb, try to get it off all in one piece, because if you start tearing and stuff, it's going to be harder to get it off. And then this one, unfortunately, had big tear. It was a big mess. It took forever. I'm going piece by piece. I'm getting little fragments of sticker on my fingers and using my thumb to kind of smear off any of the residue of the glue. Finally got those off. But I'll show that in a little bit. I'll have a little silent. Actually, I'll add some music, I think, to it just to make it a little more exciting. So you'll be able to see about a minute of it. But anyways, so here's some books that, again, this was ones I got yesterday that were at a library's fill a bag for $1 thing. What to do once. This runs from Avon Books, 2011. This one takes place in 1821. Michelle Marcos, Secrets to Seducing a Scot. That's a nice cover there. Published by St. Martin's Paperbacks. There's acknowledgments. This is from 2011, it says. It says, "For God" as one of the acknowledgments. A very small print there. There's a poem. A prologue. Again, this might be one of those things where you have a long prologue. There you go. And then 1819 is when chapter 1 starts. And this Catherine Coulter book, The Valcourt Heiress. First time in paperback, it says. There's a step back. There's a medieval. There's sort of the famous dress that they always have in these covers. Whenever you want to know how so it says medieval novels. So this is one of them, published by Jove, which is a division of Berkeley. And it says 2010, copyright 2010, mass market, Jove mass market edition is 2011, by Catherine Coulter, who did write a lot of historicals. She's had one of those careers. Starts in 1278. She's had one of those careers like people like Karen Robards and people like that who have been longtime romance writers and started out, even Robin Carr, started out writing historical novels in the 1980s, medieval novels and things like that. And Kristen Hanna was another one. And then gradually their careers got into like women's fiction and thrillers, contemporaries. So Catherine Coulter nowadays, if you look on the bookstore shelf, she's writing mostly like suspense thrillers. There's a photo of her on the back cover there. But at this point, she was still writing medieval historical romance. There it says historical romance. So a lot of writers have had this, a lot of longtime romance writers have had this sort of evolution of their career. And Julie Garwood is another one. We're going to take a look here. I'm going to pause the video and then we'll come back. All right, so here's 3 more books that I got yesterday. And again, they were in that library's fill a bag for $1 sale. And again, all of these had these 50-cent stickers that I had to slowly peel off. This is a pocket from Pocket Books. It's a very thick book. This is, well, it doesn't say, 346, or is that 546? Yeah, it looks like 546. Hard to see from my angle, but it'll look better on the screen. And then there's a preview of another book. There's a picture of Julie Garwood for only $4.49 original cover price. So this was a good bargain when it came out. And there's more books by Julie Garwood. And so this was copyright 1999, but this paperback edition is from 2011. Another big prologue, England and the reign of King Richard I. Let's see how long this prologue lasts. Long prologue. Chapter 1 doesn't start till like page 25. And there's the back cover talking about the book. All right. Hannah Howell, Highland Night. And this was published by Zebra. And this has a sticker on the back. I'm going to keep this sticker on it just because it looks kind of funky and it's not covering up anything important. It's just covering up the barcode. So it looks kind of nice on there. You know, it gives it kind of a vintagey feel in a way, you know. I only remove the stickers really if I feel like they're kind of obtrusive, or, you know, if they are just unnecessary. If they're vintage stickers, I leave them on, usually, unless they're covering something like super important. Generally, vintage stickers would be harder to remove, though, I would think, because they've been on there for decades. This is from 2001, but it looks like it's a, 14th printing. So this has been through a lot of printings. There's chapter 1. Talking about Hannah Howell. That reminds me, there was a whole bunch of Fern Michaels books, too. I didn't buy any of them, but they were also part of that fill a bag for $1 thing. Bertrice Small. This has a Read in Pink thing on there. It's not a sticker. It's actually printed on the book. This is from Signet Eclipse. Historical romance. There's the spine. This looks like a medieval type book as well. And lots of information here. April 2008. Again, it looks like a later printing, like 6th printing. The book originally came out in 2006. There's chapter 1. This one has no prologue. It jumps right into the action. It's a very long book, 452 pages. And there's the thing about the Read Pink breast cancer research thing. That's what that's about. And then some ads for other Bertrice Small books. All right. Well, that's that. And now we have 2 more books here. This one has a similar little label on it. Kiss and Teal. It was by Kathy Maxwell, who's been writing historicals since the 1990s. The early 90s, like 93 or so, I think. If you can hear that noise outside, it's just the landscapers doing the grass, cutting the grass and so forth. That's a nice little step back and ad in there. Yeah, this has a nice little design. More books by Kathy Maxwell. It was published by Avon Books in 2011. And it starts at 1810 and has a prologue. It has a sort of bigger print than some of these other books. So even though it's over 300 pages, almost 400 pages, there's the print is nice and big, so you don't strain your eyes trying to read it. Here's the thing about the Kiss and Teal. And a picture of Kathy Maxwell. And there's the back cover. And then we have this book, Ella Quinn's The Marquis and I. This was the one I'm going to show the thing I filmed yesterday where I was removing the sticker. You'll be able to see the sticker on here, and here's how it looks now. So we'll stop the video here, and the next bit of video you see will be what I filmed last night, removing the sticker, and I'll add some music to it. I'll start playing the music right now, probably, just so you can see what it was like to remove the sticker. Like I say, I usually take one corner and start peeling the sticker, using my fingernail, just kind of try to very gently tear it off. You have to be patient. If you try to be too quick about it, you risk damaging the book or having a whole bunch of you know, sticky paper sticking to the cover. So let's watch the video that I shot yesterday. So that's that. Now here's another one. I didn't get this one yesterday. I got this about a week or two ago. And this one still has the sticker on it. And it's also, you can see it's in the Mass Max format. So it's a little bit wider and taller than the well, it's actually, this one's just a little bit taller, but it's definitely wider than the standard book. Now they only started, it's called Mass Max. They only started publishing in this format, various publishers have, since 2020. So 2020, 2021, and we're currently in 2022. Those are the only books you'll see in this format. They're still considered paperback novels. You know, they're still basically paperback novels, but because of the wider format, you can open the books wider without risk of breaking the spine. So you can actually read a whole book that's this thick, and you'd not really notice because it doesn't have your typical, you know, creasing in the spine, you know, which is the telltale sign that it's been read. So I like this format, and whenever I see these on the shelves, I know, oh, this is a newer book. You know, you can just tell right by the way, you know, oh, this was published either in 2020, 2021, or 2022. If you ever see them at a thrift store, those, they kind of stick out. Now, I'm gonna see if I can tear off the sticker on this one. Looks like I already started at one point, but at least with this one, I'll have the sound going, and I'll be able to explain what I'm doing. So I just take my fingernail rather, and just gently lift. And I use my thumb to kind of help it along. Now, if it starts tearing, you want to stop, and then just go at a different angle. So this is what the video I had shot yesterday looked like, except unfortunately, like I said, there was no talking in it, so it was basically unusable. I suppose if I knew how to do a voiceover, I would be able to just use the material and do a voiceover, but I don't know how to do that. There we go. Very simple. It's all one piece. You know, that's a good sign when it's all one piece. And then you just take your finger, and if there's any kind of residue of glue from the sticker, you've got it off. And sometimes you'll be able to see if you hold it up to an angle where the light will show that there had been a sticker there, but in this one you can't even tell. So anyways, that worked out well. So this is When You Wish Upon a Duke by Cheris Michaels, who we saw back there. There's the info about her. There's some ads at the back. It says, next month, don't miss these exciting new love stories, only from Avon Books. So I like that when it's like, you know, if you buy this new, it's like you have sort of a next month, and you go, oh, these are things to get. And here's another thing about one of her books. This is a rather long novel, 300, almost 400 pages. It looks like. It's hard to tell with those stylized page count numbers. That looks like 398. So this is copyright 2021. It was published in September 2021. So less than a year old. You know, and you saw the price on there. It was like $5 something. So this was, and that was the sale price, I think. So this jumps in right into chapter 1. This takes place in 1817. There's the back cover description. Yeah, the retail price is $8.99. So, you know, that's, I mean, at least someone is buying them new. And then sometimes I do buy romance novels new. But a lot of times, since I find so many of them in used library sales or thrift stores, and sometimes they're brand new books practically. Sometimes I just wait. But if it's something I don't want to miss, I'm afraid of it's by a favorite author. Sometimes I don't want to take the chance. I'll be like, I'm going to get it right now. You know, if it shows up later, you can always, you know, buy it again. Like if you see it in a fill-a bag for $1, if you want to buy it again, you can, and maybe sell it or give it away if you really like the book to somebody thinking, oh, I enjoyed this book. You might like it too. This is another Avon Books, Sophie Jordan, The Duke Effect. This is an older book, and again, you can see all that creasing on the because it's in that old style, or the standard style, I guess, as I ought to say. This is from 2020, so basically it came out around the same time, or actually a year before. So I don't know how the publishers determine which. This unfortunately has a big crease in it, just on that one page though. I don't know how publishers determine which books they're going to release in the standard paperback format or which ones they're going to put in this wider format. But it seems more and more you'll see them in this bigger format. All right, so here are two of traditional Regency novels, Signet Regency and Zebra Regency. I've talked about them in previous videos, where the traditional Regency novels were sort of like a category romance. They had very thin books, around 200 pages or so, and they came out every month, a couple every month, and so it was a dedicated program by multiple publishers, and Signet and Zebra were the most popular and the ones that lasted the longest. They both ended up closing their traditional Regency lines around 2004, 2005, though. So you don't see these books like this anymore. And these are the kind of books, when I look at the covers, I think, gee, why did I not notice these back then? Because I didn't start buying romance novels till 2018. And this book is probably from like 1999. This is sort of a romantic suspense. It's the year 2000. But looking at them now, I think these are right up my alley. They're like nice historicals. They're not too complicated. This is 217 pages. There's the author. But these old-fashioned type covers, I really love them, you know. So why didn't I buy these at the time? I do not know. Fortunately, it looks like somebody had written a number or something here on the spine, and then they added a sticker that says 7 for some reason. I don't know what the 7 stands for. Maybe it's the 7th book in the Miss Tibbles series. I don't know. Let's see if it says, actually. No, it doesn't. Oh, well. Anyway, so now we have a Zebra Regency romance. Cover doesn't look as cool. You know, I like the style of the Signet ones better. But, you know, it's all right. This one is for 1998, obviously. The original owner in pencil. You know, luckily in pencil, so if you ever did want to erase it, you could. But I'm just going to leave it on here because it's interesting for historical reasons. The original owner had rated it 4 stars. Now, the thing is, I don't know if 4 stars is the highest rating, because on Goodreads, 5 stars is the highest rating. So a 4-star book would be, you know, just below a 5-star. Or this person may have considered 4-star the best. I don't know. They had their own system. So it was September 1998, apparently, when they either read this or bought this. And you can see it says first printing November 1998. So evidently they bought this when it was brand new, because usually the months are a little bit ahead. This is sort of a November 1998 is sort of a you know, removed by November 1998, removed from the shelf by then. So usually if you go to the store and see like a Harlequin romance novels, they're going to say, like on the ones you'll see here, you know, I have ones that say September 2022. Right now we're still in July 2022. Usually they're a month or two ahead or so. So this one takes place in 1816. And there's the back cover description. These were $4.99. I think probably the raised price, this one was also $4.99. You know, I'm thinking maybe the increasing price of these books maybe contributed to their downfall, because people, if they were going to spend a lot of money on a book, they would probably just rather have a thicker book rather than one of these ones which they would read in one day and then, you know, be done with. This one is 5 new stories by a bunch of historical romance. Ellison Lane, Edith Layton, I know, Barbara Metzger. They wrote like Regency romances. So this says Signet Regency Romance Anthology on the spine there. There's a better look at the spine. Now you can see this has a sticker on here. This is one of those debatable points. Should I remove the sticker on this one, or should I just leave it? It does have a kind of a vintagey look to it. And it's not covering up, I mean, it is covering up the title, but it's not covering up, I can still read what the title is saying. So I might just leave that one on, I don't know. And there's things about the things. I see the barcode has been crossed through. So usually that means it's something like a store that is reselling, these books. And they just kind of put a mark through the barcode to indicate that it's not to be sold at the at that price. Sometimes you'll see ones where they put a sticker covering the barcode down there too. Regency Romances coming in 2004. So these are the Signet's traditional Regency novels coming out that month. And these look like they're all originals because they're not reprints of other stories. It says they're all copyright 2004, which is when this book was released, May 2004. And there's the contents. And let's see, there's like that and so forth. So it's just a little anthology of shorter stories. I've kind of always wondered how they decided to choose to do short story anthologies. Presumably these writers were writing longer stories. Did they say, we want you to write a short one or what? But anyways, we'll take a look at more but here. And here are some contemporary novels. So we're moving away from the historical here momentarily. And these are contemporaries. Jane Ann Krentz, first time in print of Eclipse Bay. This is, I believe, a trilogy, a contemporary trilogy that she wrote. It says, asking for a trilogy. Eclipse Bay is the first book in a 3-book series. Jane Ann Krentz was a very talented writer. I've read a couple of her books. One was, I read a Jane Ann Krentz book, a Jane Castle book, and an Amanda Quick book. And I enjoyed all 3 of them. The Amanda Quick book especially, which are her historicals. I like those the best. And again, here's another sticker, but I'm going to leave that sticker on just because it's not covering anything important. The worst thing would be to start tearing off stickers and then you tear off, part of the cover. This is a Tara Taylor Quinn book published by Mira, which is Harlequin's imprint for single title books. There's Tara Taylor Quinn. I think the reason I got this book was I got this at a Value World about 2 weeks ago. They had a bunch of books that were $5 for $1. If you saw my previous video in my romance novel collection, where I talked about the YA novels that I bought this at the same time at the same store. So it was a Value World where they were $5 for $1. There's a message from Tara Taylor Quinn celebrating her debut in 2004 for Mira. To the coolest girls I know, Patricia Potter is a well-known historical romance writer. Jill Shelvis, I guess that's how her name's pronounced. This is from Kensington, which is also Zebra Books. She's a very popular writer. If you go to your local Walmart or any place like that, see, this is from 2009, but she still has books coming out regularly, and so she's probably not as well known to just your average person, but she is a very popular writer. All right, so now we have some inspirational novels. Heartsong Presents. I can't remember. Here, I'm going to show you this. I can't remember if I showed this book in a previous video, but this is the only Heartsong Presents book that I've ever read. I read it like last month or so. It says on here, it's Heartsong Presents number 603. It says that on the spine. But the reason I bought it and read it was because it was a historical that took place aboard a whaling ship. And I like books that have a seafaring plot. So I really enjoyed it. It was a really good book. It was better than I expected it to be. I just figured it was like inspirational romance by a publisher that didn't have really wasn't really known for their romance. That it wasn't like it was Harlequin or Avon or Zebra or anything like that. So I thought, well, it might not be that good. I don't know. But it was better than I thought. And I ended up rating the book 3.5 stars out of 5. But I said, for a Heartsong, it could be a 5. I don't know. In general, though, I very much enjoyed it. So that made me think, gee, I should get more of these books if I see them. So I got these yesterday in the fill a bag for $1 thing. Now, this is book number 211. And this is book 235. And these are both actually historicals. This one obviously is a medieval type looking book. And this one, it looks like a contemporary, but it actually takes place in the 1800s, the late 1800s. Now the plot of this one looks like it may be a little problematic. They share an impossible love. He is the son of a prominent New York family, his future and his wife-to-be secure and glittering. She is the daughter of a Jewish tailor, her future full of the hopes and dreams of any nice Jewish girl living in the teeming Lower East Side of the late 1800s. But ever since that day when the dashing Pierce Blackwell appeared in her father's shop, Darlene Louis has tried and failed to put him out of her mind and heart. And yet she must, for her sake and his. She could never accept his Jesus as the Messiah, and he would most likely be disowned should they ever marry. Yet Darlene's world as she know it is about to go up in flames, and the fire won't be extinguished until the love that transcends all barriers, God's love, is fully realized. Well, it could be a little offensive, perhaps to many Jews to have this story of, obviously what's going to happen, this is a Christian inspirational romance, is that they're going to get together and she's going to convert to Jesus or to Christianity. And so, as a Christian myself, I don't have a problem with that, obviously, but I can't imagine that this would be sort of offensive and even perhaps hurtful, to assuming that's how it turns out, but assuming that would be a little not only hurtful, maybe just annoying and irritating, and to Jewish readers, although of course they're probably not even going to read this book. Generally, Christian fiction is marketed and read by Christians themselves. So this is true of like Christian books, Christian music, Christian films, generally secular audiences or non-evangelical Christians, and of course other religions generally don't consume Christian media. But I think many of these books probably are will have virtues that are otherwise overlooked or ignored by audiences who would enjoy them if they gave them a chance. Sometimes these books can be preachy. Like I said, with this Whale of a Marriage book that I really enjoyed, there were parts of it that might have been seen as a little preachy and overly pious and so forth, but at the same time, I found it would be a well-written book and enjoyable to read. So this is another one This is, again, these are the early. The covers got better. I think the earliest covers of these Heart Song Presents books, they weren't as good, and as things went along, they got a little better looking. So this is a nice, cool cover. The year 1423, so that's when this one takes place. Love stories are rated G. This has a little survey at the back asking people what they thought of the book. And this one's from 1997 by Barbour Publishing. And there's a author's note here indicating that the book was inspired by the author's family history. All right, now there's 3 more Heart-Song Presents books that I bought. Once I got that one and enjoyed it, I thought, I'm going to give more of these a try. So this is Heart-Song Presents 284, it says on the spine. They started moving the numbering just to the spine instead of on the covers. So 786, it looks like, and 791. So these ones are more in the style of that Whale of a Marriage book. It has that similar format, and so the cover image looks better than it did before, but it's a little smaller, and the title is huge. Again, here's another case where you have a sticker on here, but I'm going to leave the sticker on here because it's a nice little vintagey looking sticker. This kind of gives you the feeling of how it would have looked when you saw it in the store. So if you remove that, then it kind of gives less context of what it was like for the original purchaser. So when it's something that's vintage and it's non-obtrusive like that, I tend to leave it. This one takes place in 1885. So far these Heart-Song Presents that we've seen are historical novels. But this one obviously looks like a contemporary romance. So it looks like similar to, say, the old Candlelight romance series that Dell put out from 1967 to 1982, which had a variety of subgenres. 1 month it might be a nurse novel, the next month a gothic romance, the next month a Regency romance. You never knew what you were going to get. Well, this looks like it may have been somewhat similar in that way, which I like because it gives you a lot of variety. Brianna Nichols hates football. Or she doesn't like, maybe, and then she meets the jock. I don't know. There's that one. And then finally this one, Heart-Song Presents Better Than Gold. It's also historical. And there's the author profile. And this one is from 2008. At some point they stopped doing Heart-Song Presents. I don't know exactly when it stopped, but it did. So we'll take a look some more here. And here's a love-inspired historical by Regina Scott. Now this was Harlequin. This is from December 2013. This was Harlequin's line of inspirational historical romance novels. They also had, of course, the love-inspired series. Both the love-inspired series and the love-inspired suspense series, which we'll see in a moment here. Here's an example of that. Love-inspired suspense. Both the regular love-inspired series and the love-inspired suspense series are still being published today. Around 4 to 6 novels a month are published. If you go to your local Walmart, you can see them on the shelves. Brand new books coming out every single month. They did stop this series, the love-inspired historical series. They stopped that a couple years ago, but they started reissuing some of those love-inspired historical books. They would have 2 novels, 2 older novels in one thick book. They were just reissues, just to keep the line going. And then recently, just I think it was earlier this year, they started redoing occasional love-inspired historicals. There'll be 2 books a month or so. I don't think it's monthly, but it's. So if you go to Walmart right now, or any other store that carries Harlequin category romances, there are two love-inspired historical, brand new love-inspired historical books on the shelves. But anyways, so that's just a preface to say that this series is, basically defunct, but it seems like they're trying to revive it. So if you're interested in this sort of thing, then, you'll want to buy those books and support them so that they keep publishing them. Now this one is interesting. It has a little message from the original purchaser. They bought it for somebody for Christmas and added their little note in there. And so who knows how it ended up in I think this was in this might have even been in the free box. Can't remember, but it was at the library that I bought yesterday at the library sale. And this one I may have already had before, but it's an Amish novel published by Zebra Books by Charlotte Hubbard, who has done a lot of these Amish novels. Looks like there's a page torn out of this one, which I didn't notice before. This one's from 2020, April 2020. And in the acknowledgments here, the author says, "Once again, I'm deeply indebted to my editor Alicia Condon for helping me bring these Amish stories to readers." Now, Alicia Condon is a long-time romance editor since the 1980s, I guess. Originally for Leisure Books on their Love Spell line, which was doing, futuristic romance, time travel romance, Regency historical, things like that. So it's interesting that she's had such a long career and, still doing stuff, at Zebra Books now. Like I said, this is from 2020. And so you probably wouldn't expect, Alicia Condon's editorial duties to include Amish romance, but they do, So that's really interesting. Maybe sort of an unreported. But I find the stories of editors fascinating because they may have as much influence or more as an author does in the history of romance, but are generally, not as well known to regular readers because they never see their names anywhere except maybe in an acknowledgments section like that. Now, here are 3 Debbie Macomber books. She writes sort of sweet romances. I think she's kind of started more as sort of an inspirational writer. But is generally, there's like Hallmark movies made of her books. In fact, this Ms. Miracle Christmas. So it's a new Christmas novel in paperback for the first time. All of her books of here have new introductions where she addresses the reader. Yeah, look at all these testimonials to her. This one says, many of readers have been vocal. Ms. Miracle first made her appearance back in the late 1990s and struck a chord with readers. 3 Hallmark movies followed, but you said you wanted more, so this is a Ms. Miracle Christmas, so from 2019. From Ballantine Books. There's with a cute dog on the cover. So if you like Hallmark movies and things like that, then Debbie Macomber would be probably up your alley. Now this book is a reprint of 2 earlier books. In fact, let's look at the copyright info on here first. So it says That Wintry Feeling, copyright 1984. Borrowed Dreams, copyright 1985. And so they're 2 separate novels. But on her introduction here, she says, you're holding 2 of them in your hands now. That Wintry Feeling and Borrowed Dreams were both published early in my writing career. I've refreshed the stories so they are slightly changed from the original publication. So that's an interesting thing that happens too, where writers will, reissue older books of theirs and then change them. So in a way, you are getting a somewhat new book. And Debbie Macomber, A Girl's Guide to Moving On, first time in paperback. This is also from Ballantine Books. This is a very thick book, 400 pages, over 400 pages. And this one is from, when we get past the testimonials, well, there's her introduction. We finally get to the copyright page, which is 2016, it says. All right. Now here's one of those love-inspired suspense books that I showed. This one's from May 2021, and I actually already have this book, but I bought it again because I like the gothic-y cover, and a lot of these love-inspired suspense books, I'm not going to keep them. I've just bought them for resale. I'm just going to throw them up on eBay because they were in the libraries, fill a bag for $1, and it was almost like they were trying to get rid of them. And these are all recent books. You know, it says June 2022. There's those ones. There's a bunch of them here. And these are a great thing. Just put in a box, throw up on eBay, and somebody will buy that. I will then have money to be able to buy more books for myself. And plus, in a way, I almost feel like I'm saving them from, you know, being pitched. Because sometimes with these, people donate books. Obviously, whoever bought these originally, you know, maybe had a subscription to Love Inspired Suspense. And, you know, was getting, or else they were buying them at the store. And just getting all of them, you know. This is like an entire month's worth of Love Inspired Suspense. And donating them presumably to the library. They all have creases on them showing that they've been read. Then donating them to the library, maybe just to get them out of the house or something. I don't know. They just don't have room for all these. Maybe they view them as like newspapers where you read them and then you're done with them and you get rid of them. But I thought somebody was going to want these, you know. I wouldn't have time to read them myself. And, you know, unless they have some cool premise or cover. There are a couple of love-inspired suspense that I've kept because I intend to read them, and the premise looked interesting, the cover looked cool. These are the larger print versions, which Love-Inspired Suspense is released in both regular size fonts and the larger print. So these are all the larger print, which some people really like. And so anyways, so that's that, and we're going to take a look at some more. All right, so the last stack of books I got here are the sort of paranormal romance, the fantasy, and things like that. This one is actually a Regency romance anthology. This is from Zebra Books. It says Zebra Regency Romance on it by 3 writers, and it has to do with cats, but it's magical kittens. So there's it was from the year 2000. So it's the stories all involve cats and like magic. So it's a mix, I guess, a little bit of a paranormal aspect to it. There's the descriptions. Halloween. This is probably a holiday release, you know, for Halloween. Zebra did a lot of like Zebra holiday things, even for like Easter and you know, holidays like that. They would have special anthologies or novels, you know, just particularly for that holiday. And here's a Susan Grant novel. This is a love spell romance, which, like I said, did a lot of futuristic and time travel themed romance novels. And she did like science fiction romance, which is an interesting hybrid genre. This is published by Dorchester, which is Leisure Books, from 2002. This is about a missing airplane, I believe. Well, there's Susan Grant. All right, this one is The Emperor's Arrow from Carina Press, which I believe is an imprint from Harlequin. This has a cool cover. It looks like the poster of a movie, like an action movie, by Lauren D. M. Smith, The Emperor's Arrow. The bride candidates have been summoned. Their numbers are many, yet only one is an Amazi warrior. Only one would give her life to protect him. Evany of Orline, warrior of her people, which is probably her, has no intention of becoming a hideous old man's bride. Though her people have sworn their loyalty to the legendary Emperor Galen, Evany knows little of courts and intrigue. It's simply not her world. Yet it's on the palace training grounds where Evany's archery skills gain her the respect of soldiers and legates alike. The Emperor himself takes notice of the beautiful, ruthless warrior. In turn, the young, steely-eyed Galen is nothing at all what Evany expected. This man could very well conquer her heart, but does he feel the same? As the rivalry among the remaining bride candidates intensifies and the plot for the throne unfolds, Evany must make a grave choice: fulfill her destiny and protect her people, or follow her heart and pursue true love. Either way, the honor of the Amazi people and the future of the empire now rests with Evany of Orline, for she is the Emperor's Arrow. Fantasy romance. So that's the hybrid genre represented here. I think it's kind of cool. I mean, I haven't read this, so I don't know. This is from 2016. Sometimes these, fantasy romance type things, Rebecca Brandywine, for example, is like a classic old school romance writer who wrote some of this type of thing. And sometimes they can get kind of bogged down in stuff, which if you like it, if you're like all these hard to pronounce names and so forth, then, it's all this world building that goes on. Basically you have to enter a whole new world of stuff that you don't know anything about. That can be sort of challenging to read. But on the other hand, they're interesting. There's something different. Speaking of different, Blood Angel. This is actually a horror novel, according to the description, published by Rock Books, ROC. Blood Angel by Justine Musk. Now, when I first bought this book, like 2 weeks ago at the thrift store for $5 the Value World, or you know what? I think this might have actually been at another library where they have books where romance paperbacks are $5 for $1, but it's basically a donation thing. So they just have a little box next to the shelves and shelves of paperback books, and you just slip the dollar, however much money you want to slip into the little slot of the box. So I think that's where I got this book. But anyways, it says Justine Musk. I didn't think anything of it. I'm reading, as one does, the copyright page. It says 2005, copyright Justine Musk. And then I saw it said For Elon. I thought, that's an interesting name, Elon. And I looked back, I was like, Elon Musk. It's like, well, what, I was like, what's the relationship here? So I had to go Google it, and it turns out that Justine Musk was Elon Musk's first wife. And they ended up divorcing a couple years after this, I believe. There's Justine Musk right there. This is her first novel, it says. So anyways, let's see, get past the prologue. So it takes place in the present, even though that prologue took place in medieval times. All right, so here's 2 more paranormal romance novels. This one is from, it says Tor Paranormal Romance. So this is Tor Books, which is available now from Tor Romance. Tor Books is well known for their science fiction novels, since the 1980s or so. They this book is from 2007. But obviously, if you want to be a paperback book publisher, it's probably a good idea to get into the romance genre too. So here's an example of Tor Books Paranormal Romance. And in fact, one of the books I showed here, this one here, Touch of Madness, I bought also in a recent, I probably showed it in a previous video, because I remember buying that one at the library sale. Gabriel is a 500-year-old vampire with the soul of a killer. So, blah, 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 blah. You can read the rest of it. So it's a vampire type novel. And speaking of vampire novels, Katie McAllister, who's written a lot of them, this is called In the Company of Vampires, a Dark Ones novel, it says at the bottom. This is from Signet, Paranormal Romance. It says, if only a broken heart were all she had to deal with, but there are Viking ghosts, gods, werebeings, and one sexy as sin vampire on Francesca's case. And her biggest trouble is spelled with a capital L, for Loki, the trickster god who made good on his promised revenge by abducting her mother. But when Fran arrives at Goth Fair to save her mother, things go from bad to worse. Her immortal ex, Benedict, is there, full of secrets, and with a new girlfriend. Fran must battle not only a power-hungry group that wishes to dominate both the immortal and mortal worlds, but the woman who claimed Ben's heart. Shapeshifters, Vikings, and a town filled with deranged opera fans. It's a good thing Fran's no ordinary mortal. Now there's the step back. She's running out of time to hook up with the immortal of her dreams. So, if you're someone who likes different genres than romance, say you're one of those people who are like, I don't like romance novels, they're stupid, or whatever. There's a variety of subgenres in romance that will appeal to almost any taste. We've seen already Christian romance. Say you're a devout Christian and you have a problem with romance novels as being sleazy or something. Well, there's plenty of Amish romances and other Christian romances that will appeal to you. If you like horror and paranormal type stuff, time travel, fantasy, science fiction, there's subgenres of those as well for romance. And one of the most famous, I guess, crossover romance novels is this one right here, Diana Gabaldon's Outlander. This is a later edition of this book. I don't think I've bought an edition of Outlander yet. I've certainly never read it. But I thought, well, maybe I'm going to get the original edition, well before the TV series, from the early 90s, I think it originally came out. We'll look here. I think it was like 92 or something. Let's look at the copyright info. 91 is when it originally came out. This is a 2014 Dell mass market movie tie-in edition. And it's in such nice condition that I thought, you know what? I mean, this was, like I said, fill a bag for $1. How could I turn it down? Although, come to think of it, the same library did have a whole bunch of Game of Thrones books, but I did turn those down. I wasn't interested. But anyways, this, I don't know if I will ever read this book because it is so long. It's like, this is 850 pages for just the story. Then you have the acknowledgments. Then you have the preview of the next installment of the book. And those pages aren't numbered. But you're talking 900 pages, so that means I would have to, I would take the time that I would be spending reading several other books to be able to finish this. But you never know. I might do it. All right. And now we're going to take a look at some non-romance novels. Just a few here at the end that I also bought yesterday. Now, several of these books that I bought were Westerns. I got, let's see, about 6 Westerns here. We'll take a look at this one first. This Max Brand, Rancher's Legacy. These are all published by Leisure Books in the 2000s. So it says Leisure Western. And Max Brand is a longtime famous Western writer from the pulp magazine days. And in fact, when it says new easy to read print, first time in paperback, I thought, well, that's interesting because Max Brand paperbacks have been printed for decades, you know. So how did they get a Max Brand novel that's the first time in paperback when this book is from 2008? Or actually it's 2010. Copyright 2018. So it's 2010. It says here, Rancher's Legacy by Peter Henry Moreland first appeared as a 6-part serial in Street and Smith's Western Story magazine, and it gives the dates there from 1932. Copyright renewed 1959, Dorothy Faust. So Dorothy Faust, I assume, was like his wife, because Felix Faust, I think that was his name. Max Brand's real name, I believe, was Felix Faust. I haven't looked it up, so you can look on Wikipedia and see if I'm correct. Why would it say Peter Henry Moreland, though? I don't know, but maybe that's why this is the first time it's printed, because it was under a different name. You know, there's the thing there. So this is interesting. You know, I like these Western books because they're very simple to read. They're uncomplicated. Unlike mystery novels or science fiction, your brain doesn't get this huge workout trying to keep track of all the details and stuff. The Western has a kind of refreshing kind of. It's almost like going outside in a way, because you get to, there's the vistas of the West. You get the animals of the, the bar scenes. It's like almost like a travelogue kind of feel to it. So for the atmosphere of it is probably the most enjoyable thing about the Western. Plus, it's fast paced. Usually, they're very action oriented. So it's not like you're going to have a lot of time with people just sitting around talking, or somebody thinking endlessly about their life situation. No, they're going out and getting things done. So there's a fast pace to it. You can read these kind of quickly. Now these are 2 more Leisure Books Westerns. Now these were part of a series. They're very thin books. This is Wilderness number 61 and number 62, both by David Thompson. And they came out only a couple months apart. There's the Wilderness series. There's all the books up to this point. And so this one is from September 2009. And the next one is, I believe, December 2009. Let's see here. Yeah, December 2009. So these were coming out at a pretty fast clip as a regular series, almost like a pulp magazine. Like it was that Max Brand story was originally appeared in a pulp magazine. So these were sort of the modern equivalents of pulp magazines. But I find it interesting. And but they don't really have these anymore. They do have like Ralph Compton books that come out regularly. They're not actually by Ralph Compton. They're by ghostwriters, although they're credited on them. So there are those William Johnstone books and J. Johnstone books that come out by ghostwriters, but they're not little thin little books like these ones. So these are almost like category romance type things, but they're Westerns. And here's 3 more Westerns that I got. These are all by Leisure Books. This is a nice old-fashioned looking cover. The Warrior. And this is from, it says 1967 by Theola Genevieve Cook. but it's credited to Wade Everett. So I don't know anything about Wade Everett. I forgot to Google this question before I started this video. So Theola Genevieve, I wonder if this was a female writer writing under a male name. Don't know. And it says 1967. So this is obviously a reprint of an old book. So it'd be interesting to know the publishing history of this book. Both of these ones say first time in print, so these are brand new books, apparently. These two. This one's from 2010. Now, unfortunately, Leisure Books went out of business shortly after this, a couple years after that, I believe, which meant one less prolific publisher on the shelves at bookstores and supermarkets and department stores. There's a opening page to give you a flavor of the Busted Thumb Horse Ranch. That's the type of title you would only see in a Western book like this. All right, and then finally here, these are the final two books in this video. Were just two science fiction books that were also I picked up. I think they were in the fill-a-bag for $1 thing. Roger Zelazny novel. He's been writing science fiction novels and fantasy and stuff, I guess, since the 1960s. This is an Amber book, which is part of a series that he was known for. It was published by Avon Books. It's awfully kind of thin too, though. There's the thing there. This was 1980. First Avon printing 1986. There's the opening page, and then just a Star Wars novel from Bantam Spectra, which was their science fiction line. I'll probably just put this up on eBay with other science fiction books I've accumulated. Interesting thing about this is that Bantam's best-selling series of Star Wars novels is that this was the period when there weren't new Star Wars stories being told. This is before the prequels were done. And this was, let's see what year this was. 1995, it looks like. Yeah, October 1995. So before the prequels. Now this was book 3 of this trilogy. So there's a huge, long, what has gone before section. It is a time of uncertain peace in the galaxy. 14 years have passed since the defeat of the Empire and the death of Darth Vader. Leia Organa Solo, her husband Han Solo, and their 3 children, Jaina, Jessine, and Anakin, accompanied by Chewbacca the Wookiee, set off on a family trip to Corellia, Han's homeworld. Unbeknownst to them, the mysterious Human League, not to be confused with the New Wave band, has set in motion a plot to take over the Corellian sector. Blah, 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 blah. So, there's stuff in here that, it's sort of it's giving the future of what these Star Wars characters have gone through. Now that they're doing the later, they're continuing the Star Wars saga with new movies. I imagine that all of these earlier stories are just kind of being ignored. But there was, I don't know how much all the books interacted, kept to a continuity. Who knows? Probably Star Wars fans do. I'm not particularly a Star Wars fan, but anyway, it's interesting. So that concludes my latest video showing the romance novels, and at the end a few extras that I bought recently. Most of these I bought yesterday. And I think I spent maybe a total of like about less than $5 on all that. Because a lot of them were just the fill-a-bag for $1 stuff. So anyway, thanks for watching.